Welcome back to our channel, Remitate Live. I am with Hazel, my co-host.
Hi.
Yeah, this should be our third video, but I'm actually hesitating to release the second one because it's a bit
Mm,
controversial, but not really. It's just that, I'm still not too sure, but who knows what I'll end up
I
deciding.
mean,
But I think it's a good
yeah,
topic.
yeah, it was a good topic. I think like controversial that part is maybe we talked about some personal stuff or company related stuff like here and there a little bit. And then if we remove that part, it doesn't make sense to connect this, storylines.
You're
So I get it.
spoiling it for everyone. But yeah, it's a bit controversial, but I think I like the topic, but I don't know yet. So I'll have to decide whether to release the second
Mm.
video or not. But yeah, for today's topic is interesting because Hazel picked this topic. What? Fear of
What?
failure? Like
Because, yeah,
mm, tell me stories. Like you started as a product designer, and I didn't know, by the way, that you wanted to be a Korean idol. So that's new. So
that was a long time ago. Like,
Maybe we'll have Remitate Live, Remitate Entertainment or something in the future. But anyway, tell me stories because I'm sure everyone would love to hear stories of their
mm,
fear of failure.
I mean, I picked the topic. That doesn't mean that I am feeling that like fear of failure because nowadays something has changed and so many people have their own business. Like YouTube can be a business, and then also people also like have a pressure to start something new because like young generation they juggle so many things at the same time and that looks cool, so people want to do that. So because like back in the day, I don't know it's the right word to say, back in the day, like if you study something at university as a major, then you keep that major to find a job, and that was kind of smooth and stable because you know all the knowledge. But nowadays, even though you studied something, it's kind of easy to not using that major and then choose the different things that uh, to find a job. And also I did the same thing. I jumped into the product design field even though my major was acting. Of course, I felt some fear because I thought that I was not good enough to do something and make money compared to other people who majored like computer science or design professionally. So, like, I think it's a good topic to talk about for people nowadays starting new things or a new field.
Remitate, you know how it started Remitate, right? So I have the division between being an adult and being a kid who has a dream, right? So I get your point on how you feel the fear of not choosing, potentially not choosing the right career. But as we've discussed in our previous video, like people's path are not linear, right? It's very, very organic. Reminded me of this this YouTube video from TED. Actually, it's a TED speaker.
Mhm.
He's discussed about how education nowadays are destroying
Oh,
imagination, creativity. Do you know why?
yeah,
Like, how do you think that that's the case?
because like school, I'm not blaming, I'm not blaming about, I'm not judging, but maybe because like schools expect us to have like one answer, like right answers, even though that could be like multiple answers.
Exactly. Even kids nowadays, they are doing exams, tests to pass it, not to learn, not to use their thinking. Maybe there's different way of thinking this, right? Maybe there's a different approach to this.
Mm.
Kids nowadays, in my opinion, they are doing schoolwork like it's work. It's not, that they're not, they're just doing
Learning.
it just to pass, right? They're not doing it to learn. So that's interesting that, that you feel fear on that end, right?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, of course, I've learned something from schools, but even English, I don't think that I've learned how to speak. So that's why I felt like a huge like fear when I came here to speak something, even though my test sheets, they were so difficult. Like we learned like vocabulary, like for doctors or lawyers, because people just memorize words so well. Because in Korea, like education, everything is too intense, but like they cannot speak. So the purpose of testing is literally what you said for testing, making like a better scores. So,
Right. So how is it in Korea? I'm curious because the English there seems, learning the language, you're learning it as some sort of like subject academic that's not really useful in real life, right? Like you mentioned, doctor papers and lawyer papers.
probably not. Maybe it was just for me because I was not good at English like back then. But like the vocabulary, everything is just so difficult. And I showed because you can easily search like Korean SAT test, like English, and then you can see all the examples that we've studied. And then even my friends who speak English, they found that so difficult slash doesn't make sense. Like sentences are not making sense because there's like so many like a tricky, it just doesn't make sense. It's not English.
Right. Interesting. It's just so fascinating how the system it just doesn't work nowadays. Educational system. It's very traditional still. It's not adapting to times. Um, I remember my cousin came from Germany,
Mm,
and they have a very very different education system. It's I don't know how to describe it, but basically, when they get to grade 10 or grade 11, they have the option to choose whether they would go to a more practical workplace or more academic workplace. I guess it's the same here.
mhm,
It's just that in Germany, it's much more prevalent. Kids have that option whether they want to be more get into more hands-on or they just want to explore different things. And I know some European countries they have different education system that's like more adaptable, right? It's more organic. It's not linear where you have standardized tests and standardized exams. They try to accommodate it based on the children's interests, right? Where which pathway they want to go to, right?
mhm.
I'm just curious because fear of failure. I didn't know. At first, I thought it was more from a perspective of workplace, not from a fear
Mm.
of failure of future or academic. So how about in terms of workplace? Because you work with me, and
Yes.
I know, I know you did communicate it with, or I felt it at least that you felt fear that you might not be doing well at work.
Mm.
Is that was that the case or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was really lucky to have you and then all the like coworkers in the team because I don't think you judged that much to like on my work or like no one did. But because I am still like I was a junior product designer, so I was not quite sure about like how good or how good enough I was. And also, of course, I also have a desire that I want to be good at those works that I wanted to succeed. And yeah, because that was my first proper role that I can get, like product designer. So yeah, all the desire made me having more fear, I think.
So what you're saying that I should have been more strict with you?
No, no, I'm not saying that.
I'll remember that. So next time I look at your, but I have to admit, because I'm also a new business owner, so I'm not very experienced with dealing with people. So I'm always extra careful whenever I'm dealing with them because they have their own way of thinking. They have their own way of working, and I always want to identify their strengths, right, and their weakness, and try to at least get around their weakness and put emphasize on their strengths. So, so I have to admit I'm a beginner, but I feel like I should have been more firm with like certain feedback because because I did held back some feedback, which is probably not a good thing because I think the other party would appreciate it if you're giving them constructive feedback rather than
Right.
holding it back because you're worried about your relationship with them. And yeah, I guess that's my biggest one of my biggest mistake is that I should be more constructive with my give more constructive feedback, don't hold back, and be improve communication all the time. um, I did remember though that I criticized your work like once. How did you feel about it?
Um, well,
Because
I
I
think
didn't
that
like
was,
one of the things I didn't like was the Buja Hub, right? So
yeah,
for
the
anyone that's
logo.
familiar, Buja Hub is our shopping and savings community, and I didn't like one of Hazel's design. One of them was the logo, and the other was the landing page.
Mm. What was it? I think I forgot.
Like I gave you feedback about the landing page, and I was like, I didn't like this landing page. Can you please redesign this whole thing again? Not sure if you still
Landing
remember.
page. I mean, landing page. I think I was okay with that because, I don't really remember. So it shows that I didn't get offended by it. And logo, that was like really understandable. And I explained it because I did use that logo, like a different logo with the logo that you gave. I think that was why you kind of like, why did she use that logo instead of the original logo that she was supposed to be using? And that was my bad because of the like background of the logo and everything, it was not fit into my landing page. That's why I just used that logo without asking you like a permission or asking your feedback. So I think that was okay. And even you get used that like you didn't give me enough feedback, but I think beginning of our work, maybe like our relationship was not that close compared to the relationship right now we have. That's why you couldn't give the strict feedback, everything. But I think time goes on and like we communicate pretty well. So
Right.
mm, I got many decent feedback from you.
Yeah, but still, I have this feeling that I should give more feedback, a more constructive one right off from the beginning.
Mm,
Because it's a professional relationship. It is not. There's nothing personal about it. If your work is bad, your work is bad. So that needs to be communicated, and it has to be supported by reason, right? Of why it's bad. Can't just say it's bad, especially in front of everyone, because I didn't want to embarrass the other person, right? So give them
mm,
feedback, but give them a constructive one.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that could
So
make a better result as we
exactly.
did. Mm,
But in terms of like fear of failure, I guess you never felt that in your workplace or as your role as a product designer, because let's go back to that academic, right? Maybe you felt inadequate with your skills, or because you probably felt that you don't have. I don't know. I'm probably just putting words on your mouth now, but um, you probably don't felt as skilled or educated or not certified enough to be a product designer. Did you felt that?
I think that was like 30% of my fear that I've got. And also, of course, I teach my language online, but like I haven't worked with people online, like 100% online. And like I communicate and talk to people like online, even with my second language. That was quite difficult, honestly. I'm not sure that's like that is understandable from your side. Yeah, so like as a junior person, I would love to try the environment, like working in the office together so I can feel the vibe like in person. Yeah, that was, and actually like I felt really different when I met you in person because like Rainulf visited Vancouver and he's in Toronto right now. I'm in Vancouver, and then he he visited.
You
I
only
mean,
met one.
even that was not a work. We just hung out at the cafe. We played some board games. Anyway, but that was really different. So I hoped that we could have some time like that. Yeah, that was a difficult part
So what you're saying is that Remitate should have its own office in Vancouver.
for me.
You mentioned that so many times. They want to go to Vancouver. Like, come to Vancouver. I don't know how many times you sent that message to me. Um,
You know what? Um, I recorded all the meetings that we had.
really,
Yeah, because I think that was helping me to overcome the fear.
fear of what?
If I miss something, like the
Fear
points
of
that you picked.
remembering things.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good practice. Actually, it's kind of like a diary or some sort of recording of your life. I actually tried to do that before, not recording myself, but writing a diary.
Mm,
It's just that you need to have a bit of commitment doing that. And the same with this YouTube channel. And that's probably both of us, we don't have as
mm,
much commitment, unfortunately, but I'm trying to strive for it, try to be consistent.
mm.
But I think that's a good practice.
Yeah. I mean, recording something and saving the moments, I think that's beautiful. But have you written like diaries for a long time?
I did like
You did.
probably not long time, but my longest one was probably 6 months. And then at some point,
Oh.
I just got lazy and I completely forgot about it in general because of how busy I am. My interests change left and right.
Mm,
I would just find another thing interesting and I would just forget the other thing because, that seems more interesting, right? So
right.
that's something I need to improve on. It's being dedicated to one thing and try to be consistent or have a routine. So that's something that I personally lack of is routine. And I'm very
Mm,
lucky, I would say, especially with Jessica, because Jessica is very good with routines. So she created spreadsheets, Scrum, for example, and she recommended me a few good practices because we don't have to meet online every single week. Maybe why not just do it on Discord? And she given me structure. So that's Jessica's strength,
mm.
which I really appreciate because that's my weakness. So yeah, it's good to have routines. It's good to have recordings and a diary. Maybe I'll get back to that. Who knows?
Right. And also that could help you to feel better from the fear, I think. Because even like when you look back and then when you read again what you wrote before, maybe that could help you to not repeat the same mistakes, or maybe you can have more confidence because you're taking care of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, like looking back and reviewing what really the decisions you made, over time, right? It's a very good practice, and that's also like in professional setting, Scrum. That's exactly why how sprints work. You record the historical. the task that was completed, how often you complete things, the estimate versus
Mhm.
the actual hours, and over time you just look at it and see how you can predict the future, right? So
Right.
which sprints the velocity, right? And
Mhm.
how quick the team can finish tasks within a given sprint. And then as a business owner, you can estimate that in the future and see if I need resources, or if I need to improve our skills, or some of our processes, etc. So that applies to professional, that applies to personal as well.
Mm. Yeah, I like the concept of sprint because we are not just driving crazy, like crazy speed. We sometimes stop and yeah, review the step by step, and then also I can feel that I am going this way and that person goes this way, and sometimes this way helps my way, so we can see all the process together. Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you have like a routine or process in your personal life? Because you deal with failure. Maybe that's one way to mitigate it. It's to look back, right?
Mm,
So recording is that your what you try to do nowadays?
um, I'm not sure about routine, like what kind of routine, but I do write diaries.
You
That
do.
is one of my habits. Yeah.
For how long?
For how long? Like for 5 years?
You still write it?
Yeah, I'm not writing every day, but at least like 2 to 3 days in a week. Because
Wow.
of course it's my habit, but this is a good way that I can deal with the problems.
Go
Because
ahead.
like
Can
when
you say
I
that?
like problems, sorry,
No
problems.
problems. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, because I cannot just think in my head. I need to write things down on the paper
Mhm.
or computer. And that gives me a different result or different decision. So that definitely helped.
That's
Yeah, you should do
interesting.
it.
How long is the length of your diary usually?
Oh wow, that's
If you don't
so
mind.
like yeah, of course. It's so weird, but when I'm happy, it goes really short, like 5 sentences. But if I'm depressed or
Makes
if I
sense.
have something that I need to solve, or there's someone that I don't really feel like I like that person, like I don't know, like if something's happening, the, the length goes like
I
two
bet
pages.
Rainulf is there. Rainulf, I don't like Rainulf. Why is Rainulf being stupid?
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. So yeah, it really depends
It's kind of like product reviews, right? If you review a product, the complaint is usually like 2 or 3 paragraphs long
with many photos.
with many photos. That's interesting.
Mm,
I did not expect that because I had this impression that you like to move around. But it's interesting. It's a good practice in general to stop and kind of like be alone, have a like some sort of alone time and try to reflect on what happened in your
mhm.
life. I guess diary is one way of your reflecting.
Yeah, I think writing and reading is really important to me. And I think for everyone that could help in many ways. I think my habit, like I got this habit from my acting experience as well to
Mhm.
justify all the actions that I do, like a script, if
How
that
does that
makes
work?
sense.
What do you mean? No, it doesn't make sense. Explain.
That's so mean. Okay, I'll try to explain. So the like a terrible habit that I've got from my acting experience, not terrible. This is like precious to me, but that was difficult. Like when I design a person to act this character, I need to design my behavior. So just imagine if my character that I've got is a writer, like genius writer, then I am gonna put some mask as a writer and I will create some habits. Like, okay, so like maybe like this behavior. I'm just constantly doing this, like to think like what should I write? What should I write? Or like I just keep tap things to, think, like keep making this sound. I'm gonna create this habit to make people believe that I'm a writer. And if I
Mhm.
keep doing it, even though I'm not acting anymore, when I do something, like some behaviors, I constantly thinking that, oh, this, if I do things, like if I do this constantly, maybe people think that I'm this kind of person or that kind of person. So I'll just like not do the action. Okay. So there's nothing that I can do because my brain just keeps judging my behavior as a character. So I need to
Wow.
stop. Yeah, that was my terrible thing that I've got. Nowadays, I'm feeling better, and it's kind of good to have the ability that I can look myself from other perspectives. But that was a bit chaotic. I think like 2 to 3 years before, I was thinking too much about my behaviors or my habits. I couldn't do anything. So
That's so fascinating. I'm kind of shocked because I mean I know that actress and actors they learn these things like copying people's habit and apply it to themselves. It's just so fascinating to me because you can you can just copy some
yeah.
of these good habits and apply it in real life and kind of like morph yourself into this genius writer eventually
Hmm.
because you truly believe that you are one.
Yeah. Mm.
I've
That's
heard,
powerful.
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard some actors and actress that they got so much into the character that it's actually bad for them psychologically. They actually had to talk to psychologists just to make sure they're still around the head. I don't know if it's true or
I mean, that happens a lot. Like, if I got the role that I need to murder so many people and then feel like pleased by it, if the character is like that, maybe I want to feel that happiness when I kill someone, like when I act killing someone. And then maybe I feel some, like, once I feel like this happiness when I do the action, probably I feel some like fear from myself. I don't know, like
wow.
I know like so many movie stars having a difficult or like not like common characters. Yeah, I've heard many people needed to go to see a doctor to talk about this issues. I think that's
I don't
how important how to think or how to, imagine your future. Brain is everything.
it's yeah. I don't know. I need to like sit down and put this together in my head, but I really think that's valuable, especially right now, because there are good role models out there that people need to copy and in general it's one way to look at another person and applying that to your inner self, right? I don't know how to describe it because I'm not an expert on this, but there is something there that's extremely valuable. When I first, I mean, even now, I'm sure people will realize, but I'm sure you've heard of it so many times, but your accent, it's Australian.
How I copied them.
Yeah, and people are going to be mind blown because you've only been there for how long? Not too long, right?
Yeah, I've been there like 4 months. But I have been working with Australians for a while, like few months, a few years, like 2 years.
Yeah, but is that remotely or in person?
Yeah,
Remote,
remote, like online classes. Yeah.
but you're still able to literally copy them. And now it's really applied in your real life. And that's the accent you present to yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah, that you present to people. I mean, I think that's valuable because it's appearance, right? Like whenever um, you talked with someone, they always judge you with how you appear and how you sound and how you smell and everything.
Mm.
First impressions are very important. So this is just my personal perspective, but whenever I hear someone with a British accent or an Australian accent, I automatically assume that they're richer than me.
What? Really? Oh no.
I don't know why, but I always assume that they're richer than me because
Oh
of how high
really?
class they appear. Because the royal family, right? They have the British accent, and royal family are rich. And obviously, my mind's gonna
So
connect
funny.
that, oh, this person must be like, high class, rich, someone from the UK. It, it's just so. I, I think it's very good thing to have because appearance are everything, especially when you're dealing with business and clients. You have to look good. You have to look professional, right? And
Right.
that's why I'm wearing something nice today, or maybe not something that I would normally wear with our one-on-one meeting,
Yes.
but you get what I mean, right? Because I am recording this and I'm going to show this to the world, so I have to be on my best appearance. Appearance are everything,
Yeah.
and that just gives one person so many opportunities because they're just going to be approached by anyone and say, you seem really smart, you seem really
Mm.
capable, can I hire you? I just find it funny. On their resumes,
Yes.
they include the picture.
Yeah, that's a Korean thing. Yeah.
Uh,
Do you find that's like weird, funny?
I find that weird. Um, but it makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense because what's going to happen there is there's going to be prejudice, right? So,
Mm.
so what's going to happen is that again, appearance are everything. So if you look at the
Mm.
picture, they're not looking at the resume. You just look at the picture. The person looking, obviously, everyone is visually. They prefer to look at the visuals, right? They're gonna look at
Right.
this person. This person looks smart. He must be smart. Let's just hire him. you know, then they're not. Well, sure, they're gonna read the rest of the resume, but the perception in their brain, they've already assumed that they already made that connection that this person must be capable, or the opposite. This person seems so dumb. And the resume, and okay, sure, you went to university. That's it. That's it. So they have
Mm.
these perceptions. So it's kind of like a bad thing.
Yeah, I know. And even like age, because I don't think here people put their age like on the resume, but it's kind of necessary in Korea. There are just so many points that people can judge by anything on the resume. I don't like it.
They don't like it. Yeah, same here. But some people are aware of that. So when I browse at different LinkedIn profiles, some people they would on purpose they would not put the year of their education. So they would put the university name. They would exclude the year
Makes sense.
because appearance, right? Some people are more sensitive to these things, right? Anyway, we've ventured too much way out of topic. So let's like walk back a bit with the fear of failure because it's still kind of relevant, right? Again, it's about appearance, right? So you had this fear that maybe you don't have the qualifications or the certificate
Mm.
uh, of getting into something professional.
Mm. Yeah and no,
And
because
no,
I try new things too much. Probably you know already. Because
what? Well, how about for others? Because our viewers don't know it. So, what are these crazy stuff that you've been venturing? Because you have so many adventures. Even me, I'm blown.
yeah. I don't think that I'm an expert on something like specific because I just touched many things here and there. And even my coworker, she was trying to like ask someone to not hire me, but just work with Hazel. And then he asked my coworker, so what does she do? And then my coworker kind of struggled because she does just many things. She does Korean teaching, she does marketing, but she has been doing UX design or product design. And like, but her major was acting, by the way. And like, there's so many things. And her minor was psychology, so like, she probably could understand people. Like, that could be a good thing, but that could be a like a. So what is she? You know. But once you try some new things, and then when you like overcome the fear, or um, yeah, I think it's getting better and better once you try new things.
How do you feel about that? Because it seems that your skills are so spread out right now, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you feel good about it, or is that a good thing? Do you see it a good thing or a bad thing?
Mm, I haven't felt bad about this. I always feel good about it.
Hmm.
I think the main key point is how you present your experience. Like if you defined my experiences are random, then it's going to be a random thing. But if you define these experiences and lining things really well, and that looks really interesting. And even when I went to the like job interviews, like even when I went to like UX designer interview or marketing interview, like how I present, I can just pick whatever I want from my experiences and I can make a storyline. Like I did acting and then I love understanding people. So I studied psychology. I loved helping people. That's why I got the certificate to help children. And then like now I understand the website and try to reach their goals, helping users. Everything could make sense and everything is like words.
So I'm very curious now about your
Why?
interviews, about your interviews, because personally, I always have to prepare for interviews. Right nowadays, I don't really care because I have so much experience now and I'm more confident. But
Mhm.
back then, my very first job, my very first interview, professional, it's so terrible. It's probably the worst interview I've had in my life, um, because I came in person like an hour early, so I was like walking around the building, feeling
Wow.
so
Okay.
nervous
Good start.
outside.
Okay.
It's not a good start because I was already nervous, and I'm only gonna get more nervous as I wait more. And I came like an hour early, and that was for co-op position. So I was at Seneca College, and I
Mm.
needed this job for my co-op. So I came early, and I don't want to be late, right? And all. But I was so nervous. I sat on the bench, I walked around the sidewalk, I went to some random Starbucks, and then I went back to the bench again. I sat there probably for 30 minutes, and then I don't, I don't know. And then when it got to the interview, I entered, and some exchange pleasantries, etc. And they made me do tests, like in software interviews,
Mm.
they do these coding tests, right? And I was just so shocked and nervous, and my mind was just blank. So when I sat in front of the computer, it's even worse because the guy was right beside me.
Please.
How, how are you? How obviously I'll feel like 10 times, 100 times more nervous than I already am.
Mhm.
So I I just didn't move. Like the guy was waiting for me. Here's the problem. Solve that. It's a coding question. Um, I have to type some code basically, and I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And after 5 minutes of just sitting in front of the computer, and the guy was just awkwardly looking at me, he stood up and said, "Thank you for coming." He basically kicked me out of the building, like, after 5 minutes.
But I mean, like, did you do something with the computer, or were you just
I
like
didn't, I
looking at the
didn't
screen?
move, I was so nervous. Like, I was
Oh
so
no,
paralyzed. I
poor young
didn't do
Rainulf.
it. I know, it was so terrible. Um, so that was my first experience with interviews, and obviously, after that, I have a couple of more, dozens of more interviews. It's practice, right? You have to just keep
Yeah,
doing it. You just have to go through suffering, and then you just improve over time. But that was my first experience, and I felt very, very terrible. And that's one interview I will never forget, and I will also never forget that person. But he gave me a really good lesson there. Um,
yes.
but yeah,
That was
those
your
are
first like ever like just first interview in your life?
yes, that was more of a professional. I mean, obviously, I went to part-time jobs,
Mm,
and but that's nothing because it's part-time is part-time. This one is kind of real, and there's a lot of stakes involved, and it's more professional, right? Um, yeah, that was my very first one. I went to No Frills for part-time, so it's a
mhm.
grocery No Frills, and, that's probably my very first interview, and I don't know, I don't think I even did interview because, they just accepted me. They just needed they just needed
Yeah,
someone to do the stalking, right? And they
that's
don't
true.
really care, and, they just made me watch, videos, but that was my very first one. It doesn't really count. This one I think is I would consider the first real
Mm,
professional interview.
good lesson.
Yeah, it's good lesson. It's good experience. After that, I've had a couple of more, but this one is my most memorable one.
Lovely interview.
So, how about you?
Okay.
Like, how I'm curious of your story because
My
I'm sure you
interviews.
felt these failures. You always have this fear, right? Whenever you're talking with people in front of you.
I think I was just overall okay with interviews. Maybe I haven't met any big company interviews yet or scary interviews yet. Because I always have a mindset that, okay, just like I can get the job or not. Just that's it. There's no worse scenario here. So like interviews were fine. I think, yeah, talking in front of many people, like my first stage that I needed to act, like that was really scary moment that I've got more than interviews.
How come? How is it scary?
Um, because okay, so when you watch a movie about like rock star or like this kind of movie, it feels like singer is on the stage and then like there's so many bright light and then you don't really care about audience. Like it's so cool. But actually the reality, you can see all the people and their faces like clearly. So it was too scary and there are just too many people looking at me and then they're not like smiling, like they're just like I mean, they're just here, like sitting here and like enjoying the show, but so that was too scary. But but the point is, even that I made a mistake on the stage, people don't notice. I think that gave me a good lesson of just life. Even though you think that was a mistake, people don't think that's a mistake. So how you treat the mistake is more important than what that was exactly. So
Hmm.
like fear of failure, that could happen, that's natural. But like self-doubt, like you can pretty much help yourself to not bring that fear to the self-doubt. You can stop it here. It's scary to try new things or have an interview like as a first time. That's scary, but you don't need to think that I'm not good enough or I need to stop having an interview. That's too dramatic anyway. So yeah, that was my point.
Interesting. So, That was live performance that you did?
Yeah, because most of the show that I did was plays and musical, like live.
Mm. Must be nerve-wracking because, I mean, personally, I'm not good with crowds, and it's especially scary probably for introverts like me. Well, I'm not really introvert, but a lot of developers are,
Mm,
uh, especially when you get into business, right? You have to deal with people constantly in front, and you just kind of get used to it. Even with scheduling with clients, for example, just
mhm,
having a one-on-one with them. Before I had to like have a bit of preparation. Like I have to like be super ready. So maybe a few hours before the meeting starts, I have to do that. But nowadays, it's just like, okay,
mm.
next meeting. No, let's go.
Wow.
Let's go to the next meeting. Um, how about you? Because I'm curious with your Korean business, which is great.
Mhm.
Uh, you're talking with so many people nowadays. I'm sure before or after this year, you've had some students. So, how is your experience when you first started versus now?
Yes, that was a good question. Like my English was not great. All the material was not ready because I haven't studied Korean. I mean, like I haven't like studied Korean, and I didn't know how to teach Korean because that's my language that I absorbed. So I had to prepare like 2 hours before that 1 hour lesson or 3 hours. But nowadays I need like 5 minutes to prepare a 1 hour lesson. So it goes way easier than before. Yeah, definitely. Same as your meetings. So yeah, just practice is key.
Anyway, I think we're slowly losing time.
Right.
So we probably should settle
Mm.
or
Yeah. Do you
conclude
have
this
anything
video.
that you want to add here?
Well, not really, but so I'm not sure when this video is going to be posted, but Remitate has been hiring and expanding, which is so fun and exciting because so many people are joining us, and a lot of them have their own worldview, like you.
Mm.
They're very unique. They have their own world. They have their own perspective on the matter, and I'm very lucky that I have them because evolve Remitate into something better. So I expect more in the future activity in terms of Remitate Labs. So I've been thinking of, I mean, I did mention it on LinkedIn, but venturing into centralized systems like Activity Pub. It's a bit technical, but whatever. I'm a nerd. So Activity Pub, implementing that for Remitate Labs. But yeah, in terms of this channel, we want to invite people into the channel because we don't want to just channel to be just about Rainulf and Hazel. It's more than us. This one is a team. This one is about Remitate. Anything, anyone that has similar perspective on the matter or that can improve our perspective. If you have better ideas on discussing personal things and professional things, side of things, as well as Remitate's projects and ventures. If you have better ideas, better businesses, feel free to just get on board here. We can talk about anything. And quite frankly, my intention of this channel is to get ourselves loud. I don't
Mm.
really see a lot of YouTubers, or rather, I don't see a lot of people on LinkedIn. They're just posting random articles. That's probably not very people will not find very useful. So I want to post something that stands out. It's all about standing out amongst our competitors, which I'm not really worried about. But
Mm.
but that's the intention of this channel. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to Hazel and me on LinkedIn. We're available there. Unfortunately, Hazel and I are very busy, so the frequency of our videos will be very inconsistent, and that's fine because we have a life and we don't want to be just an influencer. We have various interests that we want to venture into, and YouTube can be one of it. But maybe in the future. Right now, the frequency of the videos will be inconsistent.
Yeah, that's true. So we are gonna try to make some, yeah, videos for you guys, but there's just many, many opportunities. What if we have like different people or different like perspectives? Like maybe sometimes Rainulf can interview someone else and I can do some interview someone else, or we can bring someone else in this, so like three people can talk about some specific topic. There are just like many branches that we can try.
As Hazel said, would love people to be on board on this channel. So feel free to reach out to us if you want to talk about anything professional relating to software software development, engineering, product design with Hazel, or getting your professional life on track, connecting that with personal things. And we can always discuss various topics relating surrounding those, or even something more controversial. Why not? So feel free. And I believe that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So yeah, we'll try to post as much videos consistently as much as possible. But if not, just subscribe. I know I'm not gonna say it, so I'm not gonna say it. But out and for more videos, I'll try to post them everywhere if we have something new. But that's it.
Sounds good.
Thank you again, Hazel,
Thank you.
for
Thank you, Rainulf.
joining me. Bye bye.